Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Capnclydes MTG. It's Big Red time. That's right, Foundations Red. Let's talk about the red cards in Foundations, which will be the anchor for Standard for the next 3+ years. And it might be a little surprising. Never know. So don't forget, comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. The comments down below feed the YouTube algorithm. Also, giveaway time is here. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. Not many people have entered as of right now, so I mean, not enough people entered. I just This is more stuff for me to keep. Can't cuss in the first 30 seconds. Anyway, um, links to the eBay TCG player stores also in there. So let's get into it in the description. That is. Now we're gonna start off with Big Red with direct damage. So red is notorious for direct damage that can go to any target, whether it be creature and or player. Not always known for the best things for creature removal, but the ability to use it on a creature and or player does put it at the top of the food chain for removal. Not as good as black or white or what have you that just normally destroys a creature or exiles it. Those spells not being able to be used on a player makes them technically lower rung, but still some of the best removal. Now, we're going to start with the Burst Lightning reprint. It only does 2 damage for 1 red. Now, this is the same amount of damage as a shock, so it makes it playable. But the big thing about Burst Lightning that people liked and thought and made it really good was the kicker of 4 colorless. You kick it for 4, it does 4 damage instead, and again to any target. Now, often this won't happen. You get to kick this, but in Standard, you will, because let's be honest, you're going to get the 5 mana probably in Standard more often than any other format. So, not only does it have the ability to deal with creatures with smaller toughness in case it's an aggro deck you're up against and you need early removal, also the 4 damage removes most larger creatures later in the game, making this card very versatile and very usable for a red player. Other red cards in the set for removal, we have a Bolt Wave. This is a new Lava Spike, basically. 1 red deals 3 damage to each opponent. I mean, it's pretty much just Lava Spike. I mean, that's what it is. And if anybody has ever played Modern or any red deck wins, with just the kind of red rush style decks, sometimes you don't have to be able to boat the opponent's creatures because sometimes I mean, 7 spells at 3 apiece is more than 20. So that's just math. And this is the best thing you're going to get aside from a bolt. And plus, it is a sorcery just like Lava Spike. So, I mean, it's just good. And to be honest, it's probably going to be powered up in Modern as well. Because, Modern, again, 7 spells, more than 20. Anyway. Also on the wagon for good removal, we have a new one called Fiery Annihilation that will probably see a lot of good Standard play. A red and 2 is kind of high, but at instant speed and with the ability to deal 5 damage, which kills almost everything in the format, is going to be pretty good. Also, exile up to 1 target equipment attached to that creature. If that creature would die this turn, you exile the creature as well. This stops death triggers, so I wouldn't be surprised to see 1 or 2 of these as starters in decks, with the remaining not being used, or if there's none at all, having these in the sideboard. Because exiling a creature comes in very handy, and it's not something we get a lot of in red. Just gonna say it. And the ability to deal with large creatures, kill equipment. Lots of good things going on here. It's even at instant speed. So, yeah. I think this will probably see some legitimate Standard play for 3 years. Next, we have an oldie but a goodie. Golden, if you would. A Braid. Red and 1. 3 damage target creature or destroy an artifact. Some of the premier removal of late for many formats, especially Standard when it was legal originally, because of the ability to not only remove a creature, but you can also destroy an artifact with it. It's that versatility on cards like this that make them invaluable to any deck they get played in, especially red. So, moving on, we're past removal. We have something new, Fire Spitter Whelp. Something new, something old, really. Red and 2 for a 2/2 flyer. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. This is very much similar to the old Gutter Snipe, which was very popular in Standard. It's 3 mana, it's a 2/2. This one does fly, Gutter Snipe does not, but this one only does 1 damage. So it's going to be interesting to see if this becomes a player in Standard. Now, to be fair, I think it kind of will, because even though it's 3 mana, the Gutter Snipe ability is very good. It's only 1 damage. It is a little weaker, but being a 2/2 flyer makes it hard to block. So it can get in extra damage, whereas a Gutter Snipe is a 2/2 ground pounder that's easily blocked and often you can't swing with because the opponent's going to have creatures. This having flying could make that extra damage in the air really add up. So it's going to be interesting to see if this becomes a staple like Gutter Snipe was. Next in here, we have another interesting one. This one is actually a goblin. We have the Seer Slicer Goblin, a red and 1 for a 2/1, which is okay, but raid at the beginning of your end step. If you attack with this card, create a 1/1 goblin creature token. Nothing is better than having a 2 mana card that comes out early that when you bolt your creatures out of the way or burst lightning, whatever, braid creatures out of the way so you can get in for 2 damage. If you could generate an extra 1/1 off of it, it can be very devastating as it becomes a snowball effect of stuff just getting bigger and bigger because you start getting more and more creatures dealing more and more damage. I think this is going to be in every Red Rush deck, maybe even some of the old modern ones, because the ability to just generate extra creatures and for 2 mana, pretty close to good in older formats. It's going to be great, I think, in Standard. Also, we have another OG Goblin, the Fanatical Firebrand. That's right, the 1 red, 1/1 Hasten Goblin that you can tap and sacrifice to deal 1 damage to any target. A staple in almost every Standard red deck since the dawn of its printing, and I don't think that's going to change with it being back in Standard again. Moving on, we have Krinko's resurgence to Standard. The old mob boss for 2 red and 2 is a 3/3 is only okay, but it's the ability to tap and make X 1/1 red goblin creature tokens, where X is the number of goblins you have. Makes this thing just freaking absurd. It sees a little bit of commander play, and it used to see play in some of the older formats every now and then, but in Standard, 4 mana is not hard to get. And this thing can be a serious powerhouse if it gets onto the battlefield and is not dealt with. So, may see this in some form of a goblin deck soon. Other cards to prop up, we have a new one, Kellen Planar Trailblazer. Looks like a little something from the, Thunder Junction series. 1 red, 2/1. Already good enough for Red Rush. Makes it playable. It is legendary, but we've had cards like this legendary before. They still get forward played. For Red and 1, if he's a scout, he becomes a human fairy detective. The names. He gains, though, when he deals combat damage to a player, exile top card of your library. You may play the card this turn. That is huge. That is draw power for red. So this card is definitely going to see play in every red deck, or probably any deck with red in it. Also, if you get a red and 2 extra into it, he then becomes a 3/2 rogue and gains double strike, meaning you exile 2 cards off the top of your deck and you can play them. This is just huge for a fast, quick ground pounding red rush deck. And I think we see those decks pop up every time a new set comes out in Standard. And I think when we see that happen, every set release, it's going to be a War of Kellen on every deck list. So, kind of stepping away from the Red Rush small creature bit, we have the Twin Flame Tyrant, which is for 2 red and 3 is only a 3/5 flyer, which is okay. But the thing here is, if a source you control will deal damage to an opponent or a permanent the opponent controls, it deals double that damage. So technically, if this hits, it's dealing 6. It's really a 6/5 for 5 flyer, which is amazing. And your Burst Lightnings now do 4 or 8. A Braid does 6. Like, if you want to play a more of a big red style with some dragons and whatnot, you can have that cheap removal for the small aggro decks. And when you get up to 5 mana, lay the big dragon, and then your removal spells double in damage, which then make them very easily capable of popping off anything on the battlefield. And it'll be interesting to see if big red or fast little red aggro decks become the mainstay in the format. So, with all that said, guys, that's the red cards I think that Foundations will be using most of the time as we see new decks pop out. With all that said, until next time, be kind, and as always, I hope to see you across from the game table.